everybody, and welcome to one of our Lyceum nights tonight from Paul. Looking at a topic that I don't hear discussed very much, and I don't hear people actually talking about it very much. So we're just going to wait just to get a few people in the room, because that's always lovely. Excuse me. There we go. We've got one lovely person with us. Good evening, good evening. I'll say just a recap. Just going to have a little discussion tonight about some of the things that we don't really hear about. We talk about mediumship. And when I say mediumship, I'm referring to the evidential type of mediumship, the one that we've become very accustomed to. This is where we see somebody would be working on a platform or doing a one-to-one or whatever, and bringing through the evidence of survival. So that's the mediumship side. But I want to progress this word mediumship because very early on in 2020, I think it was, I was talking about this and my brain just needed to start to separate the topic. So I started talking about evidential mediumship, healing mediumship, philosophical mediumship. And that suits my thinking, that I know what area I'm talking about. But also I want to talk about the actual term of mediumship. Now, we are running some wonderful courses here, and there are wonderful courses available in other places as well. And yes, a lot of them focus on the evidential side of mediumship. But I'm saying to people now, I'm finding, you want to have a look at your mediumship, making that connection with the other world. Not with the view of standing up, giving messages, doing private sittings or whatever. Just for our own personal contact with the other world. A very quick hello to Deborah and Anne. Hello, hello. Because I think that's vitally important, and especially in today's world. There's elements of today's world which actually cross-reference into what's coming up about the astral plane. I find it very fascinating that we've got this mirror culture going on here. So get into, I've had my little ramble and I think my brain is now in this little groove. So hello Sharon. So yeah, what is the astral plane? Again, as I say, we've been focusing so much and for so many years on just the term of mediumship, meaning somebody who can talk to dead people and relay messages. I think we really need to break that down into its component parts, because there is so much more. There is so much more. And when I use the generic term of mediumship, I'm talking about not necessarily giving messages, not necessarily being a healer, not necessarily being a philosophical medium, just to be able to link in with the other world. Because trust me, there is nothing more peaceful and satisfying when you can sit in your own presence and commune with those who have gone before. And it is so achievable. It really is so achievable. We tend to put mediums of all designs and all facets up on a platform, metaphorically as well as literally, in a way. And that need not be, because this is an ability that's open to all of us. And the reason it's open to all of us is because, first and foremost, we are spirit. We are here in this physical world, but we are spirit. We came from spirit, we continue to be spirit, and we will go back to being spirit. And this world has whatever it has to offer us. in the way of lessons and joys and challenges. But that spirit is the immortal part of us. There again, that's the immortal part of us. That's the bit that has lived forever and shall live forever. And we should never ever forget that. Now, as I say, in today's world, what use, number one, is spiritualism in today's world? And where is this going with tonight's topic about the astral plane? Deborah, just saying there, I think empaths that have been through a lot can connect with spirit. Very true. Yeah, very true. And again, thank you, because that will link in very nicely when we get to the astral plane, which will be about 12:30. I'm joking. But I find the other facets of spiritualism absolutely fascinating. Hi, Jan. I do find them fascinating because for so long our focus has been really, number one, on the message mediumship. Then number two, probably on the trance mediumship. And then number three, on the healing side of things. Now, the one common denominator with all of those, and please don't shoot the messenger, but I do find still this, looking for the right word, this aptitude that we have for, if we're going to do evidential mediumship, we are going to the communicator. It's the communicator bringing through all that evidence. If we are doing healing, we are going to the healers or wherever in the spirit world to bring through that healing. If we're going through to our trance states, we're going to look for those guides and inspirers and talk through us. And again, this to me is always like a mirror of giving away our power. Now, those three topics I've just mentioned there, I could do a whole evening on each one and highlight what I mean there. But there is so much more. And one of the areas, as I say, are these different states of being that are not often mentioned. So we have the etheric plane, which is probably a word a lot of people are used to. The astral plane. Now, this went through a bit of a renaissance, probably about 18, 20 years ago, I would hazard a guess. I'm getting old. 18, 20 years ago, when suddenly astral traveling became a very de rigueur term. Lots of people were talking, oh yes, well, I was astral traveling. Oh, that's why I'm so tired today, because I was astral traveling last night. And it just went through this little fad and this little fancy. And we do tend to do that. We do tend, as human beings, to have a very short attention span. And we'll pick up on aspects of spiritualism and run with it for a little while, and then just sort of like let it go, let it drop, and then find the next fancy to carry on with. But the astral plane. Now, this is my understanding. If anyone has got different understandings, absolutely fine. This is why we're all different and unique. Bang them into the chat box. But my understanding with the astral plane, now this is not a plane where you will find any of the inhabitants have that life force that we have. And when I say we, I mean the conglomerate we in the spirit, we here in the world, and we wherever. It does seem to be an area where we can travel to, we can consciously go to the astral plane, and I believe we do a lot more than we realise. And we'll get onto that because that's fascinating. But it seems to be, they talk about when we actually pass over to spirit, we go through and we lose the astral body. So in effect, we're losing the habits, the cigarettes, the drink, whatever. And we lose all those with the astral body. That's where all these things fall away from us. And again, the key word is intelligence, because our intelligence continues on. What we're casting off there is a bit like taking the jumper off. Yes, right. Thank you, Jen. And yeah, do you know what? That's really interesting as well. As Jan's saying there, it was popular in the 60s, about the same time as they were dropping acid. Well, do you know what? When people talk about, oh yes, well, I have a native Red Indian guide, you know, they sat a lot in these sweat lodges with an awful lot of medicinal herbs on the go. And again, we understand this. We understand the saying of altered states when we talk about trance. Trance mediumship, not music, but yes. We are entering that altered state. There are the same with the psychedelia drugs of the 60s, the natural ones, the magic mushrooms, right the way through to today's designer things, are all designed to bring about an altered state. Now, when we are in that altered state, I think we could become very vulnerable to external influences. And that's working on the premise that not everybody who dies suddenly becomes an angel. If you've got somebody who was tough and whatever in this side of life, that's going to be there in the other side of life. But we can drift off the subject there, because I could talk about that one for a long time as well. But yeah, anything that induces an altered state is exactly the same as we do when we are connecting, even in our evidential mediumship, isn't it? Altered state. So, yeah. I'm not sure if you want to confess that, but too late, Deborah. It's out there. Magic mushrooms made me see giant monster munchies chasing me. How wonderful. Was that the pickled onion flavoured ones? And Jan brings up a very valid point there. Mushrooms are doing wonderful things with PTSD sufferers, again, because we're working in that altered state, that altered mind. And with guidance, see, we go into an altered state, don't we, when we enter into any form of mediumship. But we're getting that guidance because not only we are doing it hand in hand with our personal and spiritual development, which is recognized from the other side. So we have that guidance there. I mean, we're talking here now about the altered state being induced physically, but then there is somebody on hand to give that guidance, to work through those issues which sustain PTSD and other issues. And Helena brings about, drugs can also cause psychosis, or a lot with patients. Very true. One of the most commonest ones, when I was working with an advisory service, was smoking marijuana, which everybody thinks is a very soft drug. And yeah, I'm no innocent. I understand marijuana from a personal point of view, but I also understand that long-term and continual use of it will not be good for you. In fact, there's somebody I'm working with at the moment. I'm just trying to bring that through with them. None of us are angels. None of us are angels. We've all done something. All right, there may be people out there listening to this saying, well, I've never done drugs, but they might have done other things that we might think, oh my God, I would never do that, you know? It's personal bias. But yes, it does cause psychosis. Same with anything. Overindulgence of anything is not a good thing. So, yeah, hold on. We will get to the astral plane, but hold on. We're going through the drug plane at the moment, so that's fine. Ayahuasca is good good for some mental issues? Yes, it is. We had a wonderful gent from Liverpool give us a talk on that. And yes, there are some very good benefits. It's meant to be a very good purgative for the mind. There's also a very strong purgative for the body. So the actual sessions has quite often involved 2 buckets, one for each end. Because I was actually thinking of having one down here, and when he said about that, I thought, no, maybe not. We might have to leave that. So, yeah. And people out there agreeing about the psychosis. Yes, they do. And, drugs will cause psychosis, alcohol will cause psychosis, overdosing on smoking will cause long-term health issues. It just, shows that if you do overdose on whatever, as Jan's saying, you don't have enough buckets. No, I really didn't fancy that. I just thought, oh no. Take them down the beach and put them in the sea. Yeah. So it is about anything in moderation. I enjoy a glass of wine. I chill and relax. If I have 3 or 4 glasses of wine, I'm very relaxed and very sore the next day. It's just moderation. But anyway, can we go back to the astral plane, please? So the astral plane is this. When I say place, it's very difficult because we're physical people, we're physical beings, and we want a physicality a lot about things that we talk about. This is why we refer to the different levels, level 1, level 2, level. It's like you're in a lift at a department store, because that's the way we're wired. That's the way we're wired. But if you can imagine, everything is here. Every plane of existence is here. From the physical, astral, etheric, mental, emotional, spiritual, beyond. It's all here. It's all happening here now. So the astral plane is a place where there's fascinating, in one of my favourite books, A Wanderer in the Spirit Lands, written 200 years ago, very rough of the time language, but very good in its understanding. And he talks in there about going to the astral plane with his guide, and he was seeing things that looked like elves and little garden, like what we would call elementals, gambling around. And he asked this guy, he said, what are these? He said, these are the mental emanations cast off by children. And as he looked at them, they shifted and changed, and then they became like this cross hybrid between a gnome and a woodland fairy sort of thing, just carried on. Now, 2 things there. Number 1, there is no life. There is animation, but there is no intelligence there. There is no life. That life spark is absent. So, how can I do? Oh, I don't know. So we all watch videos, don't we, on YouTube, and hopefully we're watching things like Gordon Higginson, Helen DeVita, people like that, watching their videos, and we're gaining all this knowledge, but they're not alive in front of us. It's an image we're seeing that's created, and the voice is an image that is created, but they're not living in front of us, so it's like a recording. So if I had Helen DeVita sat next to me watching a Helen DeVita video, I can't interact with the video apart from pausing it or turning the sound down or up. But I can interact with Helen DeVita sat here and get that intelligence. Is that explaining it? Is this trying to help not only you, but me understand this astral plane thing? Now, the reason I've been spurred on to talking about it at the moment is because I believe that in our development, in our developing roles of mediumship, now when I say mediumship, I'm talking all aspects of mediumship. Some of these things we need to be aware of. Because, and I'm sure I've done it, that you can see, you can hear something from the spirit, and it's as solid a piece of evidence as the piece of evidence you just given, which was totally accepted. And the sitter goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. It means nothing from me. I believe that so Jan's just put up, I don't understand your explanation, that's fine. So what I'm trying to say, Jan, the astral plane is like the cast off thoughts, all right? So if I sit here, right, I'm thinking of a unicorn, okay? Lo and behold, there's going to be the image of a unicorn, because thoughts are energy. Energy can't die. Energy doesn't dissipate. It's indestructible. So it goes somewhere. That's a harmless emanation, a harmless thought come up, all right? It's not going to go anywhere else other really than the astral plane, because that's where it will belong to. It's not sent with any direction. It's not a direct ask for communication. It's just an image. It's just a cast off image. Same with our emotions. When we cast off, do you know what? Everything we cast off goes somewhere. Think about that. Every time we're sat there going, that's going somewhere. Thank you, Jan. Wonderful. I've got it a little bit more now as well, but thank you. All that goes somewhere. And I believe a lot of this will gravitate towards the astral plane. So it's a place of like cast off emanations. Again, there is no life spark. You may start to find the rudimentary sides of that if you go into the etheric side, but we're not there, we're in the astral. Now, this is to me, it's a very strong, real place. And it's somewhere where we will pass through when we are developing our skills in whatever level of mediumship, but probably not consciously, and probably not explained, and probably not sought to be understood. Now, I was giving an example there where you see something mediumistically, and it's as real as the last message, as real as the message that's following in, but nobody can understand it. Now, I believe a lot of the time, not all the time, because we have our own egos, personalities, mindsets can trigger these events as well. But I do believe that a lot of the time this is because we're picking up things from the astral. Now, the other side of the astral, again, it's a place of cast off emanations. It's a place, it's like an energy recycling plant, if you think of it like that. All these cast off energies are there, and they rehash and they change and may be used and tapped into by others with that life force. But on their own, that life force is absent. They're just an image going round and round. I have to be on Facebook because of the church. If it wasn't for the church, I would not be on Facebook, because I find it's just got absolutely hideous. And I see a lot of these philosophies, not only in the social media, but I also get it meeting up with people. And it's usually done in the way of, and I see alien. It's put over in this really odd way. And that tells me that there's not a lot of faith in what they're saying. I don't think it's fear of being laughed at, because it is, you know, people are saying, I see this and I see that, and it's all done very hush-hush and very quiet, and almost like you're being taken into a confidence. Now, I'm always very wary when people want to take me into a confidence, because I normally think you're just manipulating me. Don't tell anybody, but to me is a bit of a, yeah, don't tell me then. Because if other people can't know it, I don't want to know it. please don't make me your cohort in keeping whatever away from whoever for whatever reason. I'm not interested. But I believe that within our ranks of developing mediums and psychics, let's not leave out the psychic community, that there is a little bit more need of understanding with the astral plane. Yeah, I really do think we need a little bit of understanding. So, lovely Ben. Thank you, Ben. I think you're amazing, and I believe in aliens 100%. You know what, Ben? It would be totally ignorant if I said there is no such thing as aliens. I'm taking it in the context of where people are seeing aliens, but we're lacking the communication. I mean, the closest to my knowledge of communication is light language that people use. And this is meant to activate something in there. But again, sorry, I'm an old-fashioned spiritualist. I want the evidence. I've had amazing conversations with the other world, spontaneous, just out of the blue. And I know I'm dealing with an intelligence far greater than mine, which isn't hard. But that intelligence is there. But what I am picking up, not every single time, but an awful lot of the time, is people are saying, oh, I'm seeing this and seeing that, and that's it. And I'm going, so why? Ben, you sit in circle with me. What do I say? What's the first thing I say when I say, you say, oh, I'm seeing this? Why? Find out why. Why? Because when we work, this is what I need to instill in people in circles. That when you're working directly with the spirit world, it is tangible and it stands up to investigation. It stands up to questioning. So when I'm saying to you in circle, Ben, because yeah, you're here, why? It's because I know the other world are there, and I want you to know. I want you to build up that rapport along with everybody else who's developing, whether it be here, there, or anywhere. It doesn't matter. Because we are connecting with an intelligence. Now, as I say, we'll put the physical nonsense that's going on social media at the moment to one side, but it will be coming back in. When we look at some of the stuff that's being shared on the spiritual pages, maybe in person, it's lacking any evidential foundation. Oh, they're just there, or it was there. It wouldn't. Oh no, they won't talk to us. Really? Well, then why come? No, they won't talk to us. Well, sorry, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. And again, as I say, the astral plane. This is something I think I would advise any aspiring medium or healer or whatever you're going to do, to just spend some time to look at what is out there, because there's quite a lot of information out there. And again, it's only as true as the person who writes it. But there is some very interesting facts that cross-relate amongst other people's descriptions. So I do think we need to understand it a bit more, because if we bring this into the physical world, so if I'm going into the astral plane, right, and I'm seeing, talking mushroom, there we go. There's a lovely image, and I can see it now, so I've just created that in the astral world. But I want to bring this talking mushroom back into this world. So the first thing I'm doing is giving my little talking, it's ever so happy, giving my little talking mushroom my energy. All right, I'm sustaining this image now. I'm also able to bring in a certain amount of animation about the talking mushroom. If I think of it in my mind's eye, turning, looking each way, I'm bringing the animation in. And what I'm doing, in effect, is I'm bringing something from the astral plane into this plane. Now, this is where I think we need to understand a little bit more. Because, okay, here I am now. Okay, I've bought my little mushroom guy. He's a fun guy. Sorry. I've just brought my little mushroom man in. All right. And I'm just imagining here on the table. Yeah. So he's there. All right. I'm sustaining this. This is a bit like a picture that I'm painting, inspired by my imagination, because that is where inspiration comes from. And created with my own energy, because that thought went out to the astral plane. So there was the image created. And now, yes, Julie, I've just done that. And now it's here, all right? But it's not a sentient being. Okay? I can imagine now that he looks sad because I've just said that. There is not the life spark there. I can imbue this image, this hologram. Oh, that's a nice word. There we go. This hologram with my own emotions, because it is now my energy sustaining it. So I can imbue it with my own emotions, because when I said it is no intelligence there, my mind is thinking, oh, that sounds sad, which is then transferred to my little mushroom man, gone, oh, that's really sad, is coming from me. But I can't engage in an intelligent conversation. I can engage in a conversation of sorts, but I'm only really talking back to myself. So I've just thought, what's your name? But before I thought, as I went to think, what's your name? I heard Fred in my head, because that's from me. So what's your name? Fred. There you go. But it's all coming from me. Is this coming across? And anybody put in the comments if you're not with it, because I'm running with it here and it's really interesting. So, as I say, now sat here, I've got the cat under the table. I've got Fred, me mushroom guy, sat on the table. My cat I can go and play with. She will either play back or swipe me or hiss at me or whatever. But I'm going to have a two intelligence interaction with her. My intelligence, her intelligence. So that energy transfer, that conversation that's going on, is from two different aspects. I'm saying to her, I want to play a game with you. She's saying to me, why don't you bugger off and leave me alone? So we're engaged now in this intellectual challenge. And I'll pick on the cat because that's probably about as far as my intelligence goes tonight. So that's going on. But when I bring my attention now to Fred, the mushroom, yes, Ben, you are top star. And Helena, golems. Yeah, I'll bring that in. Thank you. So when I turn my attention to Fred, I didn't get info from them, but what does the people dabble in other crafts? There we go. Right, I'm just going to highlight a comment there, and I will come to this because this fits in very, very well with this topic. This Fred, my mushroom person, is only going to respond in my way, in my thinking, in my understanding. If I ask Fred to speak Chinese to me, he can't, because I can't speak Chinese. If I go see, I'm thinking of the answer before I'm thinking of the question. So I just immediately thought Queen, and then I thought, what song are you going to sing? So it's all Fred, for want of a better word, this term, figment of your imagination, is probably a very good expression. because it is. This time, this is a figment of my imagination. Fred. Helena says here, I had things sent to me in such forms and I did get info from them, but that was done where people who dabble in other crafts. So Helena, if I'm right there, you're talking about an intellectual exchange. Now, it's a very, very fine line, this, about the intelligence from two parties. Because as I'm just doing here with Fred, I'm imbuing Fred, subsidizing Fred with my thinking, my thought processes, my patterns. So be wary of that. Be wary of that. And I had things sent to me in such forms. We're going to go briefly into the etheric world. Now, the etheric world is sort of like to appease physicality, the next level up, right? It's not, but it's just the astral plane plus a little more. Now, there is mention in many books, and unfortunately most of them are working with the darker arts, and they talk about the etheric plane. Again, it is energies, it's cast off emanations, cast off emanations, but a certain degree higher. There is still the absence of that life spark, but there is the rudimentaries of instinctual behavior, shall we say. So, what was one description? Oh yeah, there was a very good one. Now, the cast-off emanations of drunkards was perceived in the etheric world as a very dense type of pondweed. And it wasn't in water, but it looked like pondweed, and it would move around. And it would be drawn to people on the earth plane who overindulged. Funny, there we go, we're getting the thread in tonight. Overindulged, be it in drugs or alcohol or whatever. And because it recognized that energy, it would hold on to, not encourage the person to continue to take drugs or to drink to excess, but its mere presence was not discouraging from continuing doing that. Does that make sense? So the etheric side of things, there is that difference. There is that rudimentary instinctual behavior, and the astral plane is not even instinctive behavior. It's images, energies, just things cast off, just things, thoughts, errant thoughts that have gone out there, be it playful, be it malicious, be it funny, be it scathing, just go there. So when we look at today's world, I put a post out to highlight something. Unfortunately, I spent quite a lot of time deleting comments because everybody was suddenly on one side or the other and talking about the people that were saying these things and missing totally the point of it all. Was the amount of distraction that's going on now in our physical world, that world out there, that world just outside that window, what's going on? Yes, John. Thought forms. Good, thank you. God, I haven't heard that phrase for a long time. If you sit there in circle and, right, this is a real experience of mine. Went away to a physical week up in Wales. breakfast, and there were two ladies, rather jolly ladies, and everybody else there should be so grateful we're here with you. I'm painting a picture here. And we had to do a meditation before breakfast every morning, go down and have breakfast, and then talk about our meditation after breakfast. And every morning we'd all go through, I had this, I had that, da da da, da da da. Every morning both these ladies had this, had that, it's all lovely, la la la. And of course, pause, Diana was there. Every morning, both of them. And by Thursday, Lawrence had enough of this. My course tutor was looking at me, daring me, snarling at me. And in the end, on the Thursday, I went, sorry, have you ever met Diana? Oh, we meet Diana every night. I said, yeah, she's dead. Being obtuse. No, she comes to us every night. I said, have you ever heard of thought forms? If you sit there thinking, I'm going to see Diana, you're going to see Diana, but it's a projection, because we forget our own latent power. And this again, the image of, say, the devil, for instance. I'm not denying the existence of the opposite of light by any means whatsoever, but it's interesting that pictograph of the devil, the horned being, is echoed right the way through history and right across the world in so many different cultures. This same image. Now, we're going back to when, if you lived in one valley, you didn't know what was living in the other valley. You had no idea. I like that. Coming to that. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah. So how did that image circulate the globe? Now, what's the easiest way of saying it? Oh, yeah, because the devil appeared to everybody. Or our psychic, the World Wide Web. And I'm not talking Facebook or Instagram. I'm talking our psychic network. And we saw a glimmer of this in 2020, that people were all suddenly sensing the same. Slight discrepancies in the visualization, slight discrepancy there. That core energy just went round and round the globe, and every time it went round, it incited another thought. So, yeah, Ashley here. Hello, lovely Ashley. We really must get together. We haven't seen each other for ages. The distractions are energetic cake and circuses. Isn't it a call to practice our discernment and where we use our energy? Very much so. And I don't know if you're applying that to our mediumistic side or the world outside the door, because it is applicable to both. Very much so. What's going on in the world at the moment is, again, a lesson for us for discernment. A lesson for us to control where we take our thoughts rather than letting our thoughts be dragged here, there, and everywhere. And yeah, quite right, actually. Jung would say it's a collective unconscious archetype. And it's so true. We are basically animals as well. We forget that side. We're all so busy being love and light and, oh, bless you. We forget actually that we're an animal. And as we've seen, what's the famous one? The sparrows on an island, wasn't it, or something? And one side learned how to use a stone to break open a certain seed pod or something. And totally unconnected, the birds on the other side of the island started doing exactly the same thing. Although there had been no physical mixing. So no acquired learning, acquired knowledge, it was acquired knowing. And we have that very much. So, yes, definitely. So, actually saying on both, absolutely, the micro and the macro, about whether this is for our spiritual side or the world today. And I shouldn't really put the word or in there, because they are, I believe, very much one and the same. You know, we are, and this is why I wanted to talk about the astral plane, because it can be an area that will cause us a great deal of confusion and a great deal of chasing ephemera. And then when you look into today's outer world, we're seeing all these posts about, oh, this is today's topic for you to run around after, and then tomorrow here's your new topic to run around after, wasting your time. So yeah, we can just beginning to see where some of these skills that we learn in our mediumistic development are actually very applicable to our physical life. Now, it's always been a case of what we learn from the spirit. First and foremost, we will change. We will change our opinion, our attitude, our outlook, how we interact with people. We will learn maybe not to shout first and ask questions later, but rather the other way around. But that's on this personal level. So we are learning that, but that is from lessons through the spirit. This discernment now, lessons about things rather than as direct, is very applicable to today's world. Again, I've shared a post, and a lot of people really didn't get it, but what was being said at the end is, all this that's going on is just a distraction. It's to keep you distracted. Like Ashley says, cake and circuses, the Roman Empire, the Colosseum and the games. All these things are distractions. And we see the mirror of distractions in our mediumistic world. You can see the distractions that are abundant within the astral plane and the etheric plane as well, to a degree. And I do see people maybe drifting into these areas, but not having any understanding really, and just going, "Oh wow, I'm seeing this. It's great," But it's distractions. So yeah, read up on all these different states of being. Try and get a basic understanding of things. Because the more knowledge you acquire, the more understandings you acquire. And this applies equally to me as to you, as to everybody who will be watching tonight or later on catch up, doesn't matter. The more information you can get, and sorting that information intelligently, not just grabbing bits and going, "Oh yeah, well they said that must be true," because that's exactly what's going on in the world. Examine things. Where's it from? Use my approach. This is why I like spiritualism. This is why I am a spiritualist, because I always will say, where's the evidence? Where is the evidence? So, yeah, look for the evidence in these things. But most and foremost, bring that thought, bring that energy into your dealings with your meditations, with however you connect with yourself and your higher self and the other world. To always look for the evidence and understand what evidence is. Evidence is an intelligence that isn't yours. I first experienced that walking through a railway shed at 11 o'clock at night, where they turned all the lights down to quarter lighting to save on the electric bill. So it was very, very dark, very, very quiet, very, very long. And I sent somebody, a guy that used to work at the depot where I was working, who very sadly took his own life. And I just sensed him out of the blue, very randomly. And I asked a question, I got a response. Well, is that you? Yes. Okay. And I went, why do you do it? And the whole energy changed. And a couple of things were said, and I thought, this is the first time I know I've got somebody here. Because I know what was just said did not come from my mind. I know that was him talking to me. So I've never forgotten that moment. And I always strive for that in my communications, be it my own personal ones, or ones we're sharing from the platform, or a private sitting, healing, wherever. Knowing that difference, knowing that separation, knowing that I am dealing with an intelligent, rational, thinking being. This world, I'm looking at things and I just think, do you know what? I'm past the stage now of the carrot and the stick. I'm past this BS that's being thrown around. Things have to change. Things will change. We have the opportunity to change things just like that. We just need the motivation, the courage, and the honour. That's what I'm seeing today. A lack of honour. A lack of people. There are people out there doing things, and I think good on you. Good on you. And doing things for the right reason. Turning all these different circuses going on in the world, turning these into laughing stocks for people. Again, that to me is a very not the right path, because it's a distraction again. Just, I always sit here and laugh at them. We shouldn't be laughing at them. We should be knocking on the door and saying, pack your bags, get out now. Come on, out. Had enough. Anyway, I shall leave the told off by spirit. I should leave the anarchy side of me to one side. But do you know what? Spiritualism has always been a very motivational and very strong influence on politics and people. Because we know that we do not die. We know we do not die. We've probably not sat and really examined that. It's all right knowing we're not going to die, but still the manner in which we are going to die does cause us great concern at times. But we know we don't die. So Simon James up at the college last Saturday, he was doing a trance dem, and just the finished part was just stunningly simplistic and beautiful. And I had a few questions from people. And in the trance, it was said, do you know all we want from you is to live? To live. And I thought, that is awesome. I love that. I absolutely love that. But yeah, spiritualism will change. As I say, going back in the early days, and there's a word I'm trying to get, and it is not anarchist. It is activist. There we go. It is a very activist movement, because we're encouraged to progress our understanding, to evolve our understanding. And that in itself is a role of activism. In the orthodoxies, you are told this is what you believe, that's it. End of story. But what about, no buts. That's the way it's written. That's what you've got to believe. In our religion, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, it's absolutely fine. We are invited to go, why? I want to know more. I need to understand this. And we get that. We get that information back. If we listen carefully enough, it's all there. It's all that information is there, ready and available to us. It's just our will. Jan Wallace just said something which was always a favourite of mine. Be the change you want to see in the world. Very true. So just to round up again with the astral plane, please, if you're watching this, whether it be tonight or later on catch up, there's a reason you're watching it. There's a reason you sat here now for 55 minutes listening to me go blah, blah, blah. There is a reason. And maybe that reason is to inspire you to do a bit of reading, Google, good old Google, goodness me. I love a library, but if I haven't got access to a library, we've all got access to Google. And look up different things. Don't take the first thing you see. Take what fits you. So go through 4, 5, 6 different explanations, and you'll find one that fits you, find one that suits you. But don't discard the others, because as your knowledge increases and your understanding increases, you often go back and go, well, actually, now I think this way, I can't discredit that anymore because that fits with the pattern. So yeah, go out and learn, find out things. That's enough. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Please remember, you can watch the services live from the church here tomorrow on Facebook at 11 a.m. BST, and we have Carla Hain taking that. Next Saturday, we have a demonstration, so there may be a pre-recorded Lyceum going out next Saturday. The Saturday following, we have our rally weekend going on, so there won't be a Lyceum on the Saturday, but on the Sunday you will have access to the service in the morning, which is 10 to 11:30 BST, and then 12:30 through to 4:30 you'll have access to all the live talks coming to you from the church. So Susan Hughes, Jason Goldsworthy, Mark Stone, and Stephen Meager are all giving talks. So lots going on. If you don't see us, I'll say next week I'll put a pre-recorded one out. The week following there just won't be one, but the following day you're going to have lots and lots. So thank you, everybody, putting up with me. I found that really interesting. So have a wonderful night wherever you are, and just look into things. Good old Google. Just take something and have a look at it and think, whatever. All right. Wonderful night. God bless everyone.